Hey there, happy anniversary. It is More Prana Garden and YouTube's 1-year anniversary. It's been a tough year. We have dealt with contaminated soil. We have dealt with a hard freeze and extreme heat and drought and flooding and just what a wild year. I want to thank those of you who've been around from the beginning for hanging out, and I want to welcome those of you who are new. So if you are new today, hi, I'm Mikara with More Prana Gardens, and the purpose of this channel is to bring permaculture gardening support and education. And support because when you are going through drought or when you have contaminated soil, it is so good to know that you're not the only one dealing with it and that other people are being impacted, and just that sense of community really helps. We're bringing permaculture support and information to gardeners in North Texas and other warm climates, and specifically to spoonies, or people who deal with chronic illness. That's who we are and what we're about, and I'd like to thank you for joining me. So in keeping with my gardener's vlog outline, I guess, we will talk about what's going on with me, what's going on with the channel, and what's going on with the gardens today. As far as me, I still have bad lungs and we still have bad air quality. I have really been thinking about and looking to the future and eventually having my own land. And of course, YouTube is a part of that. YouTube is how I plan to get there. So like and subscribe and comment and share, please. Thank you. YouTube is also how I will transition from showing you how to do a suburban garden to eventually one day showing you how to do a rural garden and setting up a whole bunch more land. That's in the future. I have been thinking a lot about where I would like to be on my eventual land. Obviously somewhere away from air pollution, as that would make breathing much easier for me, but also someplace that has a community that could be served by having fresh and affordable food, and a community that could be served by having some places to go to engage with nature and engage with food production in a non-commercial way, if that makes sense. I'm not sure exactly where that be. I'm not sure if that will be in a poorer part of America or if I'm gonna finally make it down to Costa Rica like I've been wanting to do for the past 10 years. It's all gonna be up to kind of the universe and what she decides to provide. So it's a wait and see, but I'm planning. I'm planning for the eventualities without knowing what they are. I've been working with herbalism, which is something I've kind of dabbled in for a really long time, but aside from getting some chamomile and making tea to help me sleep, you know, that's kind of how far it went. I've been getting into making tinctures and oils and salves the last year. I've learned that fire cider makes the pollen part of my health issues very manageable. The air pollution and the damage to my lungs from previous undiagnosed food allergies, that's there. But fire cider is a big help for the seasonal stuff and also for anything inflammation related. So herbalism has really helped me narrow that down a lot, and it's good. I'm looking to expand that. I did have an interest in starting to buy some tinctures from me, so that's exciting. Another thing I did is I don't buy bread anymore. It was one of my goals for this year. I wanted to no longer buy bread. Now, I don't know how to make burger buns yet. I have some black bean patties sitting in the freezer. I need to learn how to make burger buns. I don't know how to make bagels yet, but I make my own loaves of bread, my own flatbread, cinnamon rolls. Oh, sourdough cinnamon rolls are so good. I learned how to make sourdough brownies. They were amazing. So not buying bread has been a big step. I was supposed to learn how to water bath can this summer, but I got no tomatoes because of all the weather stuff. So counting on my fall crop, maybe I will get something to water bath can, but that might have to be next year. And that might have to be a farmer's market tomato type deal. We will see what happens. Oh, on the note of sourdough, I have started drying sourdough starter, as in my first batch is still in the dehydrator drying. I will be providing that for sale and trade and gifting, but not yet. This is the test batch. My starter is still young. He is only 6 months old. So for now, we shall call him Bert. But when he reaches his year birthday, he will grow up and he will become Engelbert. So that is in the works. moving on to the channel. My goal for 1 year, my hopeful goal, was 500 subscribers. But I thought that I would have 250. You know, shoot higher than what you expect, and if you fall short, you still did better, right? When I made notes for this video, which was just a little bit ago, we were at 341. It's between my goal and what I actually expected, and I'll take that. That's great. If you are one of those 341, thank you very much. And if you just now hit subscribe, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. I promise you. You are what makes this thing happen. That does mean that my current goal is 500 subscribers. I try to do something special at each landmark, subscriber mark. I bought y'all a new microphone at 100. I sang the alphabet backwards for you at 250. And for 500, I'm thinking, if you will comment in the comment box down below, let me know what you think. Should we do a live? That really scares me. Should we do a Q&A or an about me, or a, would you like me to tell you about my future plans for my eventual land? Let me know what you would like and we'll work on that. We've got 150 something subscribers to go before that's an issue, but let's start planning for it now. Another thing I'd like to know from you, at the beginning I was doing these little like gardener vlogs once a month. If that's something you'd like me to get back to, go ahead and tell me. It keeps me accountable on some things, and it kind of lets you know what to expect. And if you are a spoonie, or if you are in a warm climate, or if you are affected by this crazy weather, it kind of gives you a checkpoint of like, okay, here's somebody else who's trying to do this, and here's the stuff they're dealing with. Let me know if you'd like me to go back to doing these monthly. As we move into the second year of More Prana Gardens, you will notice that I will be publishing less frequently. I've been trying to publish 2 or 3 times a week, and I've been trying to learn how to improve my front end work before I ever shoot a video, and I've been learning to improve my editing, but trying to keep that schedule isn't allowing me to make those improvements. So I'm gonna step back from the frequency and focus on the quality, with the hopes that as I get better at planning my shoots, as I get better at editing and all those things, the frequency will come back up. When I first started this channel, I would come out here and hit record and say everything I needed to say, and if I messed up, I would delete it and start over because I didn't have a way to edit. And yeah, I could crank out a bunch of videos in a week, but I want to do better for you. There are other places on the internet that you can find More Prana Gardens, although this is where you'll see the most frequent updates. On Facebook and on Instagram, I am More Prana Gardens, spelled the same way as the channel. Facebook mostly gets kind of some of the videos that are more educational. I share them over there. And then Instagram gets photos, and I know Instagram's trying to go to a video format, but my degree is photography and it's what I do. So I'm gonna keep doing it, and Instagram's probably gonna bury me. That's fine, I don't care. I'm sharing pictures anyways, and those get shared over to Facebook as well. So Instagram and Facebook, More Prana Gardens. For anybody who would like to help, there is Buy Me a Coffee. I'm on Buy Me a Coffee instead of Patreon because it has better stuff for you and for me. And on there I am More Prana Garden, singular, because that's how many characters they allowed. So if you would like to offer any kind of support, that's where you can do that, and I would appreciate it. Thank you very much. All right, and finally, let's talk about the gardens themselves. I think the first thing we have to talk about is the irony of me moving tomatoes this year. This corner, where it's nice and shaded, where I have a microclimate, where it stays a good bit cooler than the rest of the yard, this used to have tomatoes in this corner, but I moved them because they weren't getting much sun. And then we had extreme heat and drought. So they're up the hill past this oak tree, and they cooked all summer long. And the hilarious thing is, if I had left them here, I probably would have had some tomatoes this summer. All in all, I have other plans for this area. This area is doing well. Obviously, the black turmeric is happy here. In the long term, it was a good move. In the short term, it's one of those Murphy's Law things, right? Like, I take the tomatoes out of the area that stays too cool, and then we get too hot, and it would have been perfect. Swaha. Soon I will be splitting up some of the comfrey. We have quite a few comfrey plants around the property now. I did sacrifice some to drought. I had them all the way down this fence line, which is really long, the fence line that runs behind you. is really long, and with the drought, I just wasn't about to try to keep them watered. So the ones just behind the tomatoes and just behind some gardens have done well, but the rest of them, no. Plenty in here. So I'm going to be splitting those and dividing them now that I'm not having to water as often, now that the ground isn't drying out quite as quickly. They should take off better and hopefully get some good roots down before winter, which is usually just a couple of cold snaps here. And then in the spring, they should do much better. That is something that's coming up. There will most likely be a video about splitting comfrey and all those good things dealing with comfrey. I'm going to be adjusting the Golden Delicious Guild. In the last garden tour, I showed you that I was pretty sure the Golden Delicious tree was in trouble, but it was still alive. It is no longer alive. I have talked with Stark Brothers, which is who I bought the tree from, and they have issued me a store credit. Unfortunately, they are not shipping any more bare root trees this year because it's already getting cold where they are. When they start shipping out again, I will get that tree replaced and there'll be video of that. But for now, I'm going to work on putting more perennial plants and more ground cover in that guild and getting it so that it will better support the new tree. It's already got some great comfreys in there. It's already got some other deep taproot plants in there. But I just want to really, really prepare it so that when it does receive the new tree, it is optimal, because I care for young trees. I don't do total stun method, sheer total utter neglect, but I do you live in North Texas, get used to this baby tree method. So I'm going to try to set it up so that it will succeed on its own without too much active involvement during next summer, aside from basically keeping it watered. On that note, I may be increasing the ground cover overall. It's not something I intentionally neglected. It's just as I tried to put in all the gardens really quickly, I just couldn't get it to spread fast enough. So I will be spreading the pine berries around. Over here under the oak tree, I'm trying to decide if I want to put pine berry or strawberry back here. I'm thinking strawberry because the pine berry handles the bright light and the heat better than the strawberry does, and this area might be better for strawberries. But we'll see. We'll get there. Due to the soil issues that I had and the compost and soil issues that a lot of other people have had, the issues with that have been narrowed down. Some loose plans are in place for how to manage it, and I'm working on some of that. But the main thing I'm doing about that, I was about to say in the next year, but probably going forward universally, is that I will be testing any compost or soil that I bring in, as well as my own compost, just because other inputs have gone into it. Yeah, it's my yard waste, but it's also the hay and the straw that we buy in, and it's, you know, the chicken poo. And I mean, yeah, we know what we feed them, and yes, it's supposed to be organic, but with soil contamination, it's really hard to say where it stops. So I did a short the other day, and you can probably find that pretty easily, but I did a short the other day about just real quick how I'm testing it, and I'm just planting some nitrogen fixers into it. So the compost that I just finished has buckwheat and peas coming up in it, so I know it's safe. And I don't mind spreading it on my garden. It's still resting. Probably this weekend or next week, I'll start spreading that around the gardens. So those are the big things that are affecting like my winter and future plans for the garden. And then there is the one other thing. There is the secret project. I am still keeping it a secret. I am still waiting for Mama Nature to play her part. That could take until late spring to happen. And if it does, it's okay. If we have to wait for something that's gonna be a long-term benefit, it's totally worth it. Delayed gratification can be so sweet. And that was an ironic wording for that, actually. Anyways, yeah, I'm keeping it secret from you until it happens. I am accepting donations for that on Buy Me a Coffee, and there's a link in the description to my Buy Me a Coffee. Again, thank you so much. If you have already hit like on this video, if you have already shared it to somebody, if you are already subscribed, if you have commented, thank you. And if you are about to do any of those things, thank you. Honestly, seriously, none of this, I wouldn't be sitting here a year later if y'all didn't watch. So thank you. I really, really, really appreciate you. And I look forward to many more years gardening with you. Later, y'all.